this email we got to info on the 17th?
I haven't checked
I
it
haven't
since
checked it in a long
last
time.
recording.
Somebody else offering us something.
Okay, cool.
Oh, that one? Yes, I saw that one.
The free data-driven quiz?
Yes.
So
Yeah,
this
that pod match team?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that one.
this is something we are going to have to discuss at some point. It is
San Filippo.
okay.
Yeah, I do check
Here's-
this email once a week.
So this headline is from the New Zealand Herald. Health NZ was using a single Excel spreadsheet to track 28 billion of public money. Report outlines significant concerns.
How many Gantt charts are in it?
It doesn't say.
Wait, Health NZ, so New Zealand?
Yes.
Yeah.
New Zealand's health department was being run off of a single Excel spreadsheet.
I can't think of a single thing that can go wrong.
That's amazing. We need to talk about that when Ian's here.
Yes, this is definitely be when Ian is your topic. I can't say how much I love this. It's so atrociously bad. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah. It's just terrible. Are we recording?
Yeah.
Cool.
Right here are the buttons.
Nice.
All the buttons?
Yeah,
Not even
all
just
of
the
them.
one button?
Yeah, both of them.
That's cool.
So we have. I'm the only person here without caffeine. I just realized that.
No, Sprite's decaf.
That's right. That's right.
Do you want some?
No.
I need to sleep
No.
before 4.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't drink anything caffeinated. Like
It's just
at all.
light roast coffee. It'll only keep you up for a few hours.
I can't. I wish I could. It's no.
I do miss coffee, but I've had decaf numerous times, and it's not the same.
Yeah, decaf coffee sucks 'cause it's not real coffee.
Yeah, I know. That's why it's not the same. I drink tea.
I don't understand why people drink, and Matthew's included in this, even though he's not here to defend himself. I don't know why you drink unleaded coffee. I understand unleaded tea because there's some amazing caffeine-free teas.
Yeah,
they're naturally caffeine-free.
If it's naturally caffeine-free, that's fine.
Yes, there's some amazing ones. There is not far from where I live. They've put in a spice and tea exchange.
Okay.
And that's going to be incredibly dangerous because I can walk there.
I might have to give you some money and say, just fill me up. Give me some stuff.
We can definitely do that because I will be over there. Fortunately, when we walked in, we were on a bit of a time crunch.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to buy much, but once I can get back there, it's going to be rough.
Welcome to Hostility Morning Show. I'm your host, John, joined here today by
Nathan
and Steven.
I hate when everyone's out on PTO.
Hey, you approved it.
Why don't we give people that again?
Well, first off, we have to. Apparently, this whole thing of workers' rights, we actually have to abide by something here. So, yes, I approved their PTO. Here's the thing, though. Only one of them actually submitted the form for vacation. The other one just called in sick.
Called in sick, yep.
Yeah. And I'm definitely not going to, say which one did which.
Yeah, it's all his fault.
All their fault.
Fair.
Well, Nathan, we sound good today.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. It may help that we were able to spend so much time retweaking everything.
I mean, luckily we didn't have to rebuild anything for once.
You shouldn't have said that.
It's
We're going to
true.
have to rebuild something
I'm
halfway
knocking
through
on
the
the
stream.
wood. We're good.
Good.
Yeah, when was the last time you pulled that thing off the wall, out of the wall?
It's been a while, like since January.
Wow.
And you're welcome, by the way.
Yeah. Well,
actually, that's only been 2 months.
That's a while for me. You understand how many times I've pulled my server rack, the big full rack out? Like, that's once a week still.
Why don't you just put like motorized wheels on it?
Dude, don't tempt me.
Don't tempt him.
Seriously, do not tempt me.
Oh, that's right. That's your job.
No, I think didn't we joke about you installing tracks in the floor
Yes.
and
Hey,
having like the
pulley systems are cheap.
No, like, I legit at this point, if I build the next house or whatever the next home I move into, at this stage, I need a raised floor just to run all the cabling and
God.
everything of that nature. And it would make things easier if I don't have easy access to the back of the rack. I'm small enough, I can just crawl right on through.
Hey, and you know what? If you make it a double height raised floor, it's going to be a hidey hole.
Don't tempt me.
All you need to do is make the panels out of either Kevlar or sheet steel.
Yeah, no, they're usually it's like an MDF material. It is sound and noise absorption because you want low vibration, um, in those data centers. So yeah, I mean that's what I would use, anyways. But we can put something on the bottom, but for what purposes?
It's your hidey hole.
Why not?
It's your armored hidey hole.
Understood. Nathan, get us back on topic.
Okay, so you are welcome. I have chosen for this episode one of your happy topics.
You did this just for me?
Yes. Also, because I knew that if I chose this, I would have to do very little actual work. It's just I just wind you up and let you go.
All right, so you should start with Steven.
Steven.
Yes.
All right. Couple of questions. We'll
Okay.
see if we can get through more than two.
Okay.
I'm not optimistic, but we'll see. First question.
Okay.
What was your first personal audio device?
My very, very first. So very first audio device
Correct.
that I had. Okay. I don't remember the brand. It was definitely a portable CD player. But it wasn't wasn't a Sony brand. I don't think. I don't know. I don't remember the first one. It was kind of one of the basic painted silver ones.
Mhm.
But then not long after that, I got the I don't was it JBL or was it
Magnavox?
it was the one that had the like smoke gray like smoke translucent lid that had the silver controls at the top like where the hinge is and came with nicer headphones than most did. They weren't like the basic flat over ear.
It's
Like
Panasonic?
it may have I think it may have been
That
Panasonic.
sounds more like Panasonic.
But it had like this cool kind of not bubbled, but like just smoke gray translucent lid. And I got that probably within 6 months to a year after like the very first one that I had. So I really count that one more as my first favorite for sure audio device. Because I used that thing all through junior high school.
Nice. Mine was the one that I had the first like almost exclusive access to. It was a little I want to say either JVC or Magnavox, little tiny boombox,
Okay.
and it was top loader CD with cassette player in the front.
Yep.
And radio and all that fun stuff. That was the first thing that I had access to, and it was exclusively mine. The first thing I had that I would routinely use headphones with was a Sony Discman or Walkman. And actually, John, you actually had it up, that silver one. I had
Yeah.
that exact thing.
Same.
And that was it came with those over the ear, not super nice, but like the clicky adjustable over the ear headphones.
Mm-hmm.
I think I broke those after a few years, but those
That
served,
happened back in the day.
those served long and illustrious. And that thing I think went through half of my siblings.
Nice. Yeah, I can't remember. I know at one point later on, I finally had to replace the headphones with something else because it snapped on one side
Yep.
right above where they normally do. I cannot remember what I replaced them with. It was something like a little bit nicer, but really not much nicer.
I had very early access. Obviously I had to share it, but I had very early access to my dad's yellow cassette Walkman.
Ooh, like the OG?
The OG tank
Nice.
that will outlive all of us. Back
Well,
back when plastic was bomb-proof.
interesting you mentioned Sony. Um, and I thought about this. So right up until the portable CD player, I used that right up
Mhm.
until I think junior, senior year in high school. Um, no, wait a second. That freshman year. Because I did get an iPod. I think I got an iPod. My sister actually had the original iPod, and
Okay.
I need to remember to mess with her about this again. She lost it, but it was like the original, very first model that came
The
out,
big old
white
fat
one.
one.
Yep, the
Yep.
fat one. Yeah. I got the iPod Color um 2 years after she did, I think, but it was because in that middle term, like, so this would have been the couple of years after the iPod came out. uh, Around that same time, Sony came out with, I think is supposed to be like the next generation or whatever of the Walkman,
Okay.
and it was a mini disc player. It was the little it basically had it was the love child between a floppy disk and a cassette.
Yep.
It was thicker than a floppy disk, but the same concept. It had the magnetic disc inside that spun and the little slidey door that exposed it when you popped it
Yep.
in. But it was thicker and more square. It was only about like inch and a half by inch and a half or something like that. But you could hold. Oh, I can't remember how many it was. I think you could hold like 2 CDs worth of MP3s on it. So like whatever the standard, like the bigger CDRs were at the time, this could hold double. Um, and so I got one of those and used it for a couple of years until iTunes and the iPod just really explode, like just became the norm.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, fine, I'll get an iPod. I think I still have that little thing with some of my old stuff at my parents' house though. Don't know. I lost my iPod as well. Kind of mad about that. So I had the 30 gig
Mm.
black iPod Color.
Still have my iPod video sitting in the other room that I got. I think I got that like for 40 or $50 off of a yard sale like years and years ago.
Nice.
I'm pretty sure my mom still uses her iPod Shuffle.
Nice. No, those are awesome little devices.
My first iPod was a second gen iPod mini.
Mm.
Loved that
Okay.
thing so much. That saved me on so many trips and shopping trips. Because just throw your butt in, off we go. Now, okay, this was not part of the topics, but I think now's a good time to mention the worst headphones ever made were like the second gen. Special they were in with most of the mid-range to end iPods, and they were like in like the minis that we were just talking about. Those Apple earbuds were
Terrible.
they were
They were
made for
bad.
no one.
Yeah.
They didn't fit in the ear. The plastic molding was terrible. So like where you have the white housing of the bud, and then at the end of it where you actually have the grill, that gray band
Yes.
never clipped in correctly, and it
Yes.
always would dig into your ear.
Yes.
Yeah, it was garbage.
I hated those, and they sounded terrible.
Yeah.
It was that was one of I rank that up there with most of Apple's mice. Whoever
Agreed.
developed Apple's mice developed those earbuds.
I have to
Yeah.
agree with you on that.
Yeah, they're bad. Because they've only really got I want to say recently within the last like 10, 15 years, again, minus the mouse, their peripherals have gotten significantly better.
Agreed.
They're touch points.
I very much enjoy their half molded all plastic earbuds that they have now. I actually really like those.
Yeah, I tried the Apple AirPods. I haven't tried the Pros, just the standard AirPods. They don't fit my ear. I
So
don't like them.
well, so I'm not so I'm it is I can completely understand that. I'm referring to even they're like the current wired ones, which are
Mhm.
very similar to kind of the second gen AirPods. Those are my favorite wired earbuds that don't cost a fortune because I mean, ironically, if you need an excellent pair of really cheap headphones, Apple headphones, Apple wired headphones, super cheap.
If they have an aux in.
They all do.
Not the ones that come with iPhones that don't. Yeah,
I thought they all
The
did.
headphone
No,
jack, yeah,
the
3.5 millimeter. No, that's
no,
been
the
gone
last
for
ones
years.
that have come with our phones have the Thunderbolt in.
Yeah.
You can get a version that's 3.5 millimeter.
Ah.
Because that's what you have to use for the Macs and the MacBooks and stuff. Also, the iPad still has that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think the iPad still had
Yep.
its headphone jack.
Ironically, it's only the iPhone that it's been fully.
Well, you gotta
removed
slim
from
it down.
Is it ironic,
Yeah,
or
slim
is
it.
it just expected?
You gotta slim it down so much
It-
that when you put it in your pocket, it bends.
It's ironic because they haven't done it to any of the other devices. That honestly, you have you
What-
don't really need a headphone jack on a
wait.
Mac Mini quite as much.
I was about
as
to say,
you do.
what was there ever a MacBook that didn't have a headphone jack on it? Because I know they got super slim years ago, which is why they got rid of the HDMI port. Did they ever get rid of the headphone jack?
Nope, never did.
Are you sure on the like around 2017, 18 MacBook Airs they didn't?
They
It
still,
still had it.
Mhm.
Okay.
The MacBook, when they tried the 12-inch MacBook, that still had it. The original MacBook Air,
Mhm.
which is when they really cut everything out of it, that still had a headphone jack.
The
too.
one the MacBook Air that just had the 2 USB-Cs, it
Yes.
still had. Okay, I couldn't remember if it
Yeah.
had one or not.
it's on the right side.
Right.
The one thing on the right side.
thing on the right side. Oh yeah.
So back to questions. Actually, John, did you ever say what your favorite or
No,
what,
you never asked
me.
what's your first audio device?
Thought we were just
Oh,
gonna save him
the-
till the end so he could just like go and then we
Yeah,
could stop
the
him.
first one that I actually had and bought, it wasn't just given to me or hand me down, was a Sony Walkman, one of the portable CD players. And then I think shortly after that, where I got it as a gift, if you guys remember it, the Talkboy, the audio device that Kevin McAllister had in Home Alone 2.
Yeah.
I had one of those.
Nice.
Those things were sweet.
I never had one of those. I had we had the smaller, more novelty things called a little thing called the Yak Back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had Yak Backs.
Yeah, we never had those.
No.
I do remember seeing these.
Yeah, that was really, because that was one of the first ones where you can just walk around and record just random stuff and immediately play it back on tape.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that little device was awesome.
My dad had I never used it, but my dad had a really nice Sony mini cassette player. Those things were tiny.
Yeah, it's like mini cassettes were 80-bit. Like, I only remember those from, and this is gonna date me quite a bit, from the voicemail machines.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because most of them took mini tapes.
We actually had a voicemail machine that had I think one of them took mini. We actually had a couple that took full size cassette.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Those
if
were
we
the
actually,
cheap ones,
I don't
the
remember if we
really
had
cheap
one
ones.
that had a full size cassette.
I don't
'Cause I
think
know we had a voicemail machine for a while. I don't remember if it was mini cassette or full cassette.
Well,
Yeah, I don't-
also they didn't call them voicemail. It was an answering machine.
Yeah.
Thank you. The answer phone.
Yeah, I don't remember what I know we had something like that, but that was that stayed up in my dad's office. And then by the time we had something where it was downstairs, we had I guess this is the later 90s, early 2000s, we had a handset that had built-in storage for the answering machine. So you just it recorded it on the handset, then you just went, hit the button and played it
Mhm.
back over that. But I remember as a kid, like younger, that I would hear it go off upstairs and hear it record or do stuff, but we weren't really allowed to go up there much when we were younger, and my dad would just always do that up there in his office. So can't say exactly what we had originally, but I'm sure it was one of the lesser expensive, like full size cassettes.
So he probably still has it in a box somewhere.
That's probably something my mom made him get rid of. He's not as much of a hoarder as I ended up being. I don't know. I actually don't know what side I got that from, to be honest.
You're your own unique entity, Steven.
That is true. That is true.
So John, what was your and you may have already said it, but what was your favorite audio device?
I don't remember even what it was called, but I know we got it at a garage sale, but it was a dual cassette uh player. Wasn't a recorder, it was just a player, but on it it also had speed change and frequency change on it. So you can spend hours just absolutely destroying cassettes, just changing the how quickly it plays and then doing the voice pitch, making it have all these just terrible sounds come out of it. That was hours and hours of fun.
This does not surprise me one bit.
No, no, it doesn't.
How about you, Steven?
Um, honestly, I I have to say that my favorite um device I've ever had is one that I still have and use to this day, and I've had for I think I've had it for 7 or 8 years. Um, but it's my Harman Kardon bubble speakers. I've
Okay.
got the
Oh
and I actually
yeah.
looked. I was curious. I looked this up. They do still make this set of speakers. They're on revision 4. I think mine is revision 2, but they're the Harman Kardon sound sticks.
I saw them at Best Buy like a few months ago.
Yeah.
Now that I think
Um,
about it.
now it looks like now they're more like a white theme. They have a white
Mhm.
base, and all of mine are
They're no
the
longer clear.
no, it's still clear.
Okay.
The sub still has the clear dome, and the housing that the little side speakers are in are still transparent. But mine, the older versions, the just the base and the speaker bezels are black,
Hmm.
and then the sub is, I mean, fully transparent. Like the only thing that's not transparent is the metal plate that covers the PCBs and stuff underneath. So but and but anyway, so I had a there was a guy in my dorm that I was friends with back in school that had a set of these, and he would we'd go hang out in his room, and of course he was a big oh god, what's it Jack Johnson fan, and would
Oh gosh,
that's what was playing out of the
yeah.
most of the time. But that was my first experience with what I would still consider like high quality audio equipment, higher quality, audio.
Above the $20 Logitech
Yes.
speakers that you usually
Yeah,
get.
exactly. Anything that I'd heard before, because before that, like I actually kind of got into like started getting really interested in like surround sound stuff, and I actually had in my room at home in high school a Sony. I can't remember the model, but it was a 650-watt 5.1 surround system that I had because I just was really interested in it, and something happened. The receiver broke, and so um, I couldn't afford to get it fixed or whatever, and couldn't afford to get a new one. So I did take the speakers with me to school, and I went to Walmart and bought a little cheap 50-watt 5.1 system that they had, like super cheap, and I rigged all of the Sony speakers to that to drive it.
Nice.
It sounded better than you would think, but it just obviously wasn't very loud.
Well,
So anyway, with
no.
that jank that I had, like hearing this was like, oh man, these are really nice. And so from that time forward, like I always wanted one. I always, it
Mhm.
was like one of those just things I kept in my mind. Like I really want to get those as desk speakers someday. And just at some point, not that long ago, I was able to, afford I think I bought them for maybe $200 or 180 or something like
Mhm.
that. Um, and so they're still those are my desk speakers for my computer. I still listen to music on them, and it sounds amazing. And I'll never really want another set of speakers. Those are
But
just my
but
desk
just
speakers.
$200 more, Steven, you
Yeah,
can have
right.
the
Yeah, I just those
monstrosities I
200,
have in my office.
or I can get my money's worth out of these perfectly good quality speakers that I
Oh,
have,
you don't wanna
sir.
put full tower speakers and a
No,
12-inch sub in your office?
no, because I can do the same thing with my Harman
Sure you
Kardons.
can, but can you hear it from the street?
No, that you can hear it from outside. That I can confirm. But no, not from the street. So yeah, I'd call those my favorite. I mean,
Yeah.
I've had other audio things. I mean, there's been some like Bluetooth headsets like I guess an honorable mention, close second place would be the Jaybird X2s. Their
Yeah.
Bluetooth,
Yeah, those are sweet.
like the earbuds that have the wire in between
Yep.
them you put behind your neck. Those are really, I still have those and have used them every now and then. I don't use them as much now that I have Raycons. Raycons are really good. But I just had the Jaybirds for a while and they were really good.
Nice.
The Raycon active earbuds are good. They may not meet your standards, but
Nathan,
your
what is your
standards are
favorite
over-
piece of audio gear?
So mine are. I'm gonna have to go back to the iPod Mini that I had, but it's not just that. It was that early 2000s Apple ecosystem, because the main reason I was able to have an iPod is we had one of the iMac G4s, which was like the iLamp. That was the first new computer I ever got to mess with, because all of the computers that we'd had up until then, Dad had gotten used and well used. And that was also for those of our younger audience. That was back in the day where computers literally would last for 5 to 10 years. That was a thing back in the day. And it wasn't until the early 2000s where you really started seeing significant refreshes every couple of years or faster. And so we had an iLamp G4, and then I got my iPod, and then not long after I got the iPod, I got the polycarbonate when Apple went to Intel. Oh no, I got the laptop as well. And so I got the polycarbonate MacBook, right as Apple was going into Intel. And I had that. I had my iPod and just the ripping CDs, making playlists, usually while watching TV or something like that. Good times.
the
Good
mix, the mix CD days.
I remember those days, and also like you get halfway through the burn and it fails, and you're just like, why?
Yeah.
We rarely, if ever, mixed CDs.
Did it all the
Really?
time
Yeah.
from obviously every single CD and album that I acquired legally, 100%.
Yeah. I'm actually trying to remember. I'm blanking on the software I use. I think I just used Windows Media Player to mix CDs.
And that's all it is, Windows Media Player.
Yeah.
Just you create the playlist, and then you just
I think
drag and
some
drop
peo-
them into the queue, and then you hit
Yeah.
burn. That's
and
it.
I think some people use like Roxio or something.
Yeah.
And then there were others. I mean, there's tons of others, but
I mean, iTunes did it pretty well. It's just we didn't
actually, yeah, no, I think I did. I think I used Windows Media Player initially, and I think I used iTunes later on, like the last one.
Yeah, I use Windows Media Player like all the way through.
Yeah.
That's all.
I still
touched.
have my Visor CD case.
There
with
you go.
with the last like
Nice.
era of my mix CDs. I have it somewhere at the house.
We rarely had access to blank CDs to burn. So
Really?
Had tons.
And by the time
tons of
I
them.
had the money for it, I had an iPod. So why mess with
Yeah,
it?
that's
Yeah,
true.
that was the thing. Is like I do remember that switch of like mine was very short of where I had a ton of like mixed CDs, and then I got my first like really cheap MP3 player. It was like 8 megabytes, and it was pretty much just a USB stick
Oh, I remember those.
that
Yep.
just had the basic controls on it with a cover.
Oh yeah.
That you plug your headphones in. That was the first one I remember having, and then
You didn't have a Zune?
no, I never had a Zoom. I really wanted one. I almost bought one like 3 times. I just never bought it. No, I went through a bunch of like JVC MP3 players. Like every time, like have it for a year, it dies. Get the next one they just released. That's obviously an iPod clone. Until I eventually got that. I think I had either it was a mini or a shuffle. It was one of those two.
Did it have a screen?
It had a screen.
It was a mini.
Yeah, so I had the mini, and then I got the video after that. And shortly, like I only had the video for like maybe a year. That was my daily until I got a smartphone, which I then installed music is on my phone. And then I kind of went back and forth for a bit, and then just
Speaking
retired the
of that,
iPod.
Did either of y'all know anybody that had an iPod Touch?
Yes, I remember.
I had one.
You had
Yeah,
a Touch?
I had
Okay.
one.
I remember one of my classmates like first got the iPod Touch, and like all of us huddled around the lunch table just staring at it, looking through all the apps and
Yeah,
stuff. Like
'cause
yeah,
that
was
was
a cool time.
I think it like if you were to go back and look at Apple's
Mm.
lineup, specifically, um, that is one of the few. I'll give him this. I think I would say probably one of the few uh, practically useless products that Apple's ever made.
Which one?
They basically beat themselves out of their own market.
Which one?
The iPod Touch.
See, I
Because
I strongly disagree with that.
it was literally an iPhone with no cellular antenna.
But
So
it was
disagree
it
with
was
that.
significantly cheaper than the phone, and it provided a
Sure.
it was a really good honestly no, it was a really good avenue
Okay.
for people to get introduced into that ecosystem that were not used to that level of technology, and like, here you go, here's the cheap entry point, and it really like that device took off heavily, and it got a lot of people into that Apple ecosystem when they bought the phones the next time they could afford it.
It was
Like old people and iPads.
No, a lot of like honestly, a lot of people that were at that time around our age, like
So,
legitimately.
I had siblings that were not allowed to have phones,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but they were given iPod touches.
Okay.
And the other thing is that I was actually always mad at Apple because they crippled the iPod touch.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, I do remember
It was
that.
compared to if they had just made an iPhone without the phone, but they kept updating it as frequently as they did the iPhones,
Mhm.
they would have prolonged actually the MP3 market, and they actually could have crushed the mobile game market.
Ooh, that's true.
Yeah.
Because here's
I
the other
hadn't thought about that.
here was the other gateway, and that is, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of programmers are going to yell and scream at me for saying this.
They do that anyway. It's fine.
They'll do that anyway. But the iPod Touch, if they had combined keeping the iPod Touch up to date with all of the efforts that they put into making it very easy to get into app coding, they
yeah.
would, and if they had then combined that with a focus on gaming, they would have crushed Nintendo.
That's fair. I've not thought
Because
about that
early
angle.
iOS games, once those started becoming a thing, were really, really good and very, very creative. But also the benefit is the only thing you needed to create them was a base level Mac, which, to be fair, isn't that expensive compared with other coding, with other computers you'd be using, and an iPod Touch. That's all you need.
Yeah.
And they could have crushed so many things doing that, but they didn't. They focused it all on a device that was 2 to 3 times more expensive.
Nothing will ever beat Brick Breaker as far as a mobile game. Brick Breaker was the ultimate mobile game.
I won't dispute that. Okay, so we have favorites. Now it's time for the serious topics.
Mm-hmm.
The serious topic.
Mm-hmm.
What is everyone's opinion on sound bars?
Best thing to ever happen to the audio industry.
You shut your mouth. No, legitimately,
And fight.
legitimately, for the majority of people who just want something more than their TV speakers, they want the easiest solution they possibly can. I want to just go to the store, buy a box, open it up, set something on my TV console, plug it in, and it's done. Yeah, buy a soundbar. Legitimately, because it is a significant upgrade over the TV speakers, but you're not having to do anything else. You don't have to have any other basic knowledge of audio, of going, I know how to make this sound good, but you're going to have to mess with it. A soundbar is one of those set it and forget it items that, like, yeah, for the majority of people, even myself, I still have one of my old soundbars in the bedroom that it works just fine. They're great, they're fine, but can you get better bang for buck out of a lot of these soundbars if you just want a different speaker route? 100%. But it all depends on how much effort and work you want to put into it.
In my opinion, my serious opinion, if you have no interest whatsoever, if you want, like you said, if you want an upgraded audio experience for your home theater, whatever that may look like, if you have no interest whatsoever of having sound coming from behind you, if you have no interest from behind you or to the sides, if you have no interest in that whatsoever,
There's no ability.
there is no reason to not buy a soundbar. Soundbar is all you need.
Well,
Because there are many, there is now at least a wide variety and a large. There are everything from lower quality economy soundbars up to very high quality soundbars that are available, and so you can get up to even some of the audio equipment that you tout, Jonathan, as being the best, being really good. You can get some of that same sound out of some of these really expensive sound bars,
Similar
uh,
sound.
and and do it for less money and easier setup. And because the other thing I would say, I don't know this for sure, but if my old Sony is, I imagine most soundbars now have the wireless sub incorporated. Does that sound
A
accurate?
lot of them come with a wireless sub,
Yeah.
yes.
And there's others that you can buy a separate wireless
Yeah.
sub.
Yeah.
But it's one of
Now,
those.
okay, now that would be my caveat to any of my opinions on soundbars. I'm talking about soundbars that come with subs. If it doesn't come with a sub, I'm not going to change my opinion entirely, but that's definitely an asterisk.
Well,
Like,
and that's where it's like, if you're willing to put in a little bit of effort, honestly, like if you're going to compare a $300 sub, actually let's bump it up a bit, because $300 you can get quite a bit on both sides, but let's go 500, because again, if you're the above average consumer where you're honestly looking at, should I buy a soundbar that probably comes with a good wireless sub, maybe two of those satellite speakers, or should I get a AVR, which is a audio video receiver, some cheaper, you even use speakers. You can get some really, really nice speakers that sound great for not a lot of money, and a cheap sub. You're going to get far better audio experience out of that, because as this is applicable in multiple different areas of the world, but there is no, oh gosh, what's the statement? Something for
no
no,
substitute
for
for,
displacement.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so, like, you're getting a larger speaker, which means you're gonna get a larger sound, usually a fuller sound out of it, and the big upgrade that you're actually really gonna have of using even just a 2.0 solution, which that is just a left and a right channel versus a standard soundbar, is you will get better dialogue audio out of it, because you're gonna get a better mid-range, because dialogue comes from that mid-range channel, usually from your center channels, which that's a 3.0 system. But you can get a standard just stereo based system, plug it into an AVR, plug that into your TV, and compare that to most of the standard sound bars, you will hear a difference. Now, the big kicker here is audio is always subjective. So it's whatever you prefer is the solution I always recommend to you. And it's all based on, for me, how much work are you willing to put in? Because there's still some work you have to do with a 2.0 system. There's a work you have to do with even putting a sub in there. And the more speakers you add, the more things you have to account for. So if you are looking for your best bang for buck, easiest solution right now, it's a soundbar. But if you're willing to put in a little bit of effort and you're looking to have a solution that you can start very simple now but grows with you and on this journey, definitely buy a cheap AVR, couple decent speakers, either new or used, and just start there.
Yeah, and I would say too, like this, uh, this can be divided up into, the categories of people would be like you said, I think the two metrics would be how much work you're wanting to put into making it sound good, also, and cost and
Yep.
expectations from cost. I think if we're talking about the group of people who are wanting to spend no more than $300 on anything, and it's like, you know, something that sounds good sounds good. It's like, I'm not terribly picky about sound, and I really don't want to mess with it that much. I think soundbar all day.
100%.
Just no question. Yep, soundbar within your price range, you're good to go. Preferably with a sub, preferably that comes with
Yep.
that sub. That I think makes all the difference in any sound setup. Having that dedicated subwoofer like gives you a lot more. Because too, I mean, soundbars still have quite a few settings and quite a few features that you can play with if you do want to do some tinkering. I mean, my old
Some do.
Sony, and
So
it was a what you would call, I think when at the time that I got it, it's what you would call a mid tier. It was in the early 2000s dollars, 300 something dollar price range. And it has quite a bit of, it does have presets for different things. It has quite a bit of adjustment for your different pitches, but also it has, I can't remember the acronym, but it has a feature that you can turn on and adjust for um, compensation for where, if different media have different volume levels, it can bridge that, it can adjust
Mhm.
based on what it's receiving. It has some of those things that you can play with and make it sound more like you want to.
Which I would say that's actually more advanced features because the majority of even your mid-range ones, the only thing you really get is presets. You really don't get to play with the frequency response or being able to set your EQ or things of that nature. You don't really get to touch any of that. It's whatever the manufacturer deems like reasonable
Mhm.
for those EQs is what you
But
get.
I'd say even if you could get one, even if you got one and it had presets plus custom where you could adjust bass, mid, treble, like that's not a bad setup. That's something that you can, kind of
Yeah.
play with and you can
Again, for the
tailor.
majority of people, no problem with
Yeah.
it. But for that that
If you're
one
wanting to
that
do
one
any more than that,
individual that
yes.
wants to do more than that, honestly, like I would tell you, even right now, if you want to go down that journey, don't buy a soundbar. Seriously, like go buy just a decent set of bookshelf speakers and just start there. Because those bookshelves, you are going to get so much more worth out of those versus that soundbar and that experience that you get because it's something that is a good starting point. You're going to understand and start learning things of like, what is frequency response? What does crossover mean? What does it actually mean to have a mid bass or a low bass or any of these like mid range drivers versus tweeters, things of that nature? You're going to understand what each of those speakers do in the mix, and then you can start dedicating that mix to the speakers, to the sound that you're wanting to get out of it.
What if it's a person who has no interest in learning anything about audio, but still wants a good high quality audio sound with a really easy setup?
Then you have to go back to the solutions that are known as like home theaters in a box, where you get an AVR and a set of speakers, or you get a processor and a set of speakers that's all it is. It's more than you get out of a sound bar, but it's not something like what you're kind of having to DIY yourself or go with another home theater solution like what I have out there, which again isn't super high end, but like Yamo and Klipsch and a bunch of other brands out there, they have their home theater kind of sets where you kind of have good, better, best, and up from there, where it's just you order that set of speakers and you pair it to, and sometimes they even come bundled with an AVR, and you're done. There's no research required, anything of that nature. You just you buy the actual set, you set it up yourself, and you're done. There's no learning or anything you have to do to
Okay,
it.
so when you're saying home theater in a box, you're talking about a you're talking about a surround sound system.
Yes.
You buy one kit box whatever,
Yeah.
and it comes with the AVR and the respective speakers.
Yep.
It's all okay. That's
Yeah.
I was
All
wondering. I
inclusive.
I thought that's what y'all were talking about when you said home theater in a box, but I just wasn't quite sure.
Yeah.
But at the same, but the, okay, but devil's advocate here. Where I was kind of going with when I say easy to set up, when I was giving my example,
Mhm.
I'm referring to someone who doesn't even want to take the time to tastefully place and or mount those speakers that come with the surround sound system. I mean,
Oh,
literally, like they don't want to mess with mounting anything. They don't want to mess with running wires. They don't, I know some of those
yeah, I
satellites
believe.
are wireless, but not all of them
Yeah,
are.
funny enough, there actually is a couple solutions out there. One I know that comes top of my head is Sony has a wireless speaker setup that they have at home. That it just either it goes to an AVR
They're all
or yeah,
wireless.
it's all wireless, connects
Wow.
via
Okay, so
Bluetooth or
that
its own wireless solution there.
yeah.
And it doesn't matter where you put the speakers in there. You can literally put them anywhere you want. They once you actually get them all connected
Mhm.
via the app, it'll actually go through and do its own ring correction. Which ring correction is, it'll actually go through a range of frequencies and do a
Mhm.
sweep, and it'll determine, hey, it its own dead zones, things of that nature, where it self calibrates, and then it's like, all right, cool, room's corrected, it's done. Start listening now via this output source to the speakers, and you're done. There's nothing more you have to do.
Yeah.
It's fully automated.
See, that would definitely be a caveat to where, because again, like with that question, obviously my bias is if you're looking for, if you're looking for super easy, money's not as much of an object, and you just want something. So yeah, like soundbar's easy. You stick it on the entertainment center, you put the sub over here, connect everything, boom, it's done. But that being said, I think that that's kind of the the niche and the asterisk where if it's that easy, if you have all the satellite speakers wireless, no, okay, no, real quick though, how do the satellite speakers get power?
Plug them into wall power.
Oh, so you do have to have wall outlet power wherever there is a wire tether of some sort that they
Yeah.
have to have. Okay,
Yeah, but it's only power. It's not you're not having to run speaker wire anywhere.
right.
But if you want, here's the thing. There is a best of both worlds there, Steven, for what you're asking for.
Because that's the thing about a sound bar; it only has one cord, and that's the power cord.
That's not true because it all
Okay, the audio receiver from the TV. That's
well, yeah, because you have to have the power and
yes.
then you have to have the HDMI via your eARC parental
Mhm.
control,
Or
things of that
digital,
nature.
or digital audio.
Yeah. But there is a halfway between both of the solutions that we've discussed so far. Now I have not tested it. I have seen some reviews on it. I have this is not a product for me, but this could be a product for you. There's a company out there called Nakamichi, and they have a range of high-end sound bars that come with satellite speakers and satellite subwoofers that you get to have a surround sound system that is modular and easier to control, but you do actually have a lot of those advanced features what you were discussing earlier,
Mhm.
where if you are that person that wants to eventually tinker with it, you can. If not, cool, you can just use all the out of box configurations and you're good. And they have multiple in there, and I can't remember the name of their flagship, but I believe it's the Dragon. That is a massive sound bar. I think it's like it's your 2 or 4 satellite speakers, and like comes with like 2 or 4 subs, and it's really cool. But if you're basically money's no object, you still just want a soundbar solution, but you want the best sound possible, there are products out there for you. You
Mhm.
you can do it. Would I recommend it personally? Knowing what I know, no, I wouldn't, because I would rather put my money towards a more higher end home theater solution, like going to like JTR or to any of these more boutique speaker options out there and really get into their ecosystem. Because once again, you're still going to be limited to the speaker size they put in the sound bar. So you're not going to get as much of a dynamic range, or you're not going to get as much of a uh, true tone feedback from the speaker because it's physics. It's only so large.
And I think one thing that all of this speaks to, and I think what we're kind of trying to speak to in this discussion is I believe that a lot of this comes down to that general personality type that different people have,
Yeah.
where there are some people who uh they they would rather have it's that, we call it you're not wanting to put the work into it, but it's basically you want pre-made solutions. You want it's like I want to do a thing. I want to just buy the thing that does the thing, plug it in and it do the thing, right?
Yep.
So and then when it's plugged in and working, it's doing I'm getting the thing that I want. And then you have those people that are more of that DIY do it, mindset where I want to for whatever reason, whether it's you want to save money, you just have a general interest in the mechanics of something, you have whatever. It's like I'm willing to put in the extra effort to customize, make this my own, make this exactly what I want it to be, and build my own solution. And I'm willing to put in the effort to do that, as opposed to just buying the pretty prepackaged the thing that just does the thing. I'm willing to you know, buy all the components and put them together in a way that they do the thing that I want them to do. And for that, like if that's obviously what you're going for, like with your search for audio equipment and your journey, you're buying the individual things specifically because they are what they are and they can do what they can do individually, and then putting them together and configuring it in a way that the system does exactly what you want it to do.
Exactly. I'm not one of those guys that just give me the solution out of the box. I want to understand how you came to that conclusion and why I should accept your conclusion out of the box. Or in reality, I just want to tinker with it. So the
Hmm.
best way to tinker with it is let me piecemeal it together myself and kind of go through this journey of exploration to determine, is this really worth it to me or not? And if it is, how far can I really take this? And like home theater is one of those, it's pretty much my only limitation right now is funds.
Those darn funds.
funds
I
and well,
tell ya.
and like and the space. I can't really go with a much larger solution I have in there right now. That's a limitation of just I don't have a dedicated theater. It's in my living room. My living room is definitely not the best space for a sound optimization or anything of that nature because it's a more open floor plan. The walls of where I want to put additional speakers, either a fireplace in the way or there's nothing there. So I can't just put a speaker into the ether. It's not possible. So I'm limited
Not
to
with that attitude, it's not.
I'm limited to a 5.1 setup. So that's what I have is, well, 'cause I could do Atmos
Well,
in there.
You
But
have a 5.2 setup.
no, it is 5.1 because that AVR I have, the two sub outs,
They're
they're
bridged on the same.
they're bridged,
Okay.
but
All right, never mind.
I have two 12-inch subs on the front, and then I have two near field 10-inch subs right behind the sectional against the wall. So you do get a really nice full bass sound in there, but it's not surround bass. They're not individual channels.
Yeah.
It's all one signal.
He has the two that are the couch massagers.
Oh, they're great. Oh, if you ever get the opportunity to use near fields, I recommend it. Even over bass shakers, which are just essentially just the magnets. It's just a little module that you tie back into your sub channel that will shake your seats. So those just do the same thing, but it's actual bass rather than
Mhm. Just a big rumble pad.
yeah, instead of like it's not emulated. So you're because you're getting the sound with it.
And coming at this from the completely opposite end of the spectrum, if all you currently are using are the built-in speakers on your television, please go get a soundbar.
Yeah, that yeah.
You can do so much better for a couple $100.
I'm about to say soundbar, bookshelves,
Or I would say
anything.
I did run for a little while. I did run a couple of Edifier bookshelf speakers. I will say those are very cheap. You can get them off of Amazon. Very
They're
inexpensive.
a
They're on
really
sale a lot.
yeah, I'd say they're a really good bang for. I mean, again, that's what we have sitting in here. These edifiers I bought like almost 10 years ago.
And so
They still sound great.
So something like that. And if you happen to be, shopping and there's like a really great deal on a really good, highly rated, like super cheap soundbar, get that over nothing. Especially if you spend like $500 on a TV or something, don't use the built-in speakers,
Because that's
please.
something like the fact that whether or not how much weight you place on it is up to everybody. It's different for everybody. But for what you're using your TV for consuming media on your TV, whether it's TV shows or movies, or even watching YouTube, you know, the audio is a critical component to any visual media. I mean, watching your favorite movie, whether it's the sound effects or the soundtrack, whichever one you like better, like that is an important component to watching that movie.
Or just being able to hear the
And
dialogue
or
itself.
yeah, or just
Agreed.
being able to hear stuff. Like it's the TV speakers are crap. It doesn't matter how expensive your television is, the speakers built into it suck.
It is hard to overstate how much, like, so for my parents years ago, we had a large TV, but then finally talked my dad into getting a sound bar, and it was like $150 sound bar. He was never going to get anything more than that because he refused to use anything that required any amount of work. It was just we had to be able to plug it in, set it, because he's been an audiophile before, and he's just kind of burned himself out, I think. So it was like, it has to be something simple. Okay, cool. I cannot tell you the world of difference that made. It was shocking how much better that is
Yeah,
compared with nothing.
just that one step can make a massive difference in you enjoying stuff that you watch, by having just clean sound, cleaner sound, and fuller sound. I'd say it's even like that's one of the things. I guess that the word I would use to describe most like TV speaker audio, it's very hollow.
Yeah.
It's very hollow and empty, and there's no fullness to it. I mean, just stepping up to most halfway decent sound bars
Agreed.
will give you some kind of like the beginnings of a full sound, and it just makes
Well, because
so
only
much of a
within the
difference.
last few years, like probably 5-ish, we've really only started getting decent TV audio where they're actually putting mid-range drivers and some have subwoofers on, like the Hisense U7N that I have in the other room, that actually has a sub on the back of it. So you can get decent audio out of it now, but I still recommend, even if you're buying, a $600-700 TV, buy a soundbar. And for the love of God, if you're spending over $1,000 for a TV, you need to buy not just a soundbar. You should probably get something a little bit nicer than even that, because you want to try to get the most. If you're spending that much, you're obviously either wanting to throw money away or trying to get a good experience out of it.
Yeah.
And like, if you're going to spend that much, go that next step and get a surround solution. If you can fit it, do a surround solution.
Yep.
It is a much more immersive experience than you can even comprehend.
You're much better off spending $500-600 on a TV and then $300-400 or $300 on an audio solution than you are $1,000 on a TV and then no audio solution.
Oh, and I totally forgot the other media, another aspect of a home theater, gaming. I mean,
Oh, dude,
that's especially
Yeah.
a category where console gaming on a TV, you want some level of immersion. The audio is even, I would almost say, more important. More important with console gaming than like watching
Agreed.
TV shows.
Agreed.
Like movies, I think would rival it because a movie is more of a an immersive experience.
Yeah, the movie is designed to be an immersive experience, and similar to a video game. And
But video games for sure, like having that, and honestly, I would argue that that would be equal or greater importance for an argument towards the surround sound. I don't know if all video games are optimized for surround.
most modern games are now.
yeah.
Some, again, even going back to like the mid 2000s, yeah, there quite a few of them still are.
Yeah.
But kind of
But
older than that, you're getting into that. Did they have surround sound options? Yes. Was it optimized for it? No.
Yeah. But I mean,
Kinda.
there's still some, like, again, even that old surround sound I had, I think it had some form of I don't know what you'd call it, but it basically analyzed the stereo coming in, and it kind of sort of emulated surround sound.
Oh yeah, they're
Like it would obviously play the left and right out of the rear speakers, but it at least had some sort of algorithm to try and like make some kind of
it's
surround out of it.
yeah, mock surround. That's a thing that, again, most modern AVRs even
Yeah.
do now.
But yeah, if you're a console gamer and or even a PC gamer that has a PC hooked up to a TV in your living room and you game that way. But if you're a gamer that does not like to use a headset and wants to have the sound playing out of speakers, then don't use TV speakers. You are limiting yourself.
Your
so
only
much.
option is you have to build a home theater with really nice speakers, obviously, because you are wanting the best experience.
No, that's not true. He's making that up. Don't listen to him.
No, a soundbar would help a lot. But in reality, it's like, no, again, if you want the best bang for your buck, a soundbar with those like wireless, with a wireless sub and the wireless surrounds, like, yeah, legitimately, that's going to be a very big upgrade for you. And even more so if you wanted to go with a DIY or a kit solution.
Agreed.
And on that note, I think we may have covered enough on the topic for now. We'll have to leave John's 6 other related topics.
I didn't even get to talk about the theory of sound. Like, what is it?
Well, we can cover that in a later
He
episode.
didn't get to explain Hertz.
Oh, I thought he was actually going to whine about not being able to talk about car audio, but
Well,
Oh,
now
no,
that you mention
we
it,
could definitely get into that. That could be an episode in itself.
that note, who wants to close us out
Steven,
today?
close us out.
I guess I'm going to close this out. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on the Hostility in the Morning podcast. If you stayed this long and liked what you heard, leave a comment and let us know. If you can also hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or info@hostilityinthemorning.com. We upload every other Tuesday real early on Substack, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. You want a one-stop shop for everything hostile, you can find everything at hostilityinthemorning.com. And remember, have a hostile morning.